Hey, I'm WILLOUGHBY, and these are my thoughts on all the albums that I heard this week. And also last week. Yeah, to make a long story short, I got really busy last week, forgot to record a video, so we're just gonna do both weeks at once. And in total, I heard 8 albums, and I'm gonna review them all, starting with... the new album from the OCs titled Abomination Defeated at Last. I'm actually a pretty big fan of John Dwyer and the OCs. I mean, I haven't liked every single album they've put out, how can I? They've got so many, but I've definitely enjoyed my fair share of stuff from Floating Coffin, Carrion Crueler, and Orc, and Mutilated Defeated at Last. They're great albums. And I very much appreciate John Dwyer's approach to songwriting, how he pushes his garage punk sound in a billion new, interesting directions. Him and the OCs were basically King Gizzard and Tyser Gold before King Gizzard and Tyser Gold were ever a thing. And recently, on their last few albums, it seems that Dwyer has been pushing this band in a more punk and hardcore inspired direction. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is the OCs we're talking about. John Dwyer couldn't stick to a specific sound if he wanted to. It's just that with every new reinvention of every new genre they try, they just seem to be trying to push that genre in the most aggressive and hardcore punk-esque direction possible. And in my opinion, that punk influence hasn't been used to better effect on any album than this one. Abomination Revealed at Last is a very synth-heavy punk album with a lot of incredibly chaotic vocal performances from Dwyer. And as a whole, this album's a lot of fun. The opening 2 tracks, Abomination and Sneaker, have been in my head all week. Fight Simulator was the one song I heard before listening to this album, and I love that one too. Maybe this album is a bit too repetitive, which is kind of a problem with a lot of OC's albums. But if you can get past the fact that this album does sound a bit samey, you'll probably enjoy yourself. So overall, it might not be the best of the year or anything, or even the best of this week, but it's pretty good. I would recommend it.
Niggas from the east side on a Friday night, met a bunch of hoes at the Golden Glide.
Next up, we've got the new album from JID, titled God Does Like Ugly. People have been hyping the absolute shit out of this album, calling it one of the best albums of the year. I do try not to read other people's reviews before listening to the album, but I did for this one just because I was interested, and everyone absolutely loves this thing. Me personally, I honestly do really get it. There are a lot of great songs on this one. Skate is probably my favourite on this one personally, but I do also absolutely love the track Community, and I think that one lyric about putting a bullet in Bob the Builder is fucking hilarious.
I'll put a bullet in Bob the fucking Builder before they try and kick us out the building.
So is this album good? Yes. Is it overhyped? Abso-fucking-lutely. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, I do really like JID. In fact, I loved his last album, The Forever Story, way more. And that's kind of the big problem for me. This doesn't really feel like its own original thing. It just kind of feels like The Forever Story again. And if I was going to listen to an album that sounded like that one, I would just listen to, you guessed it, that one. The only original thing about this album compared to The Forever Story is it's got more of a focus on dance grooves. But even still, that's not really very noticeable in the grand scheme of things. So overall, it just kind of feels like I've heard all this before. And I think this album's honestly just a bit overrated. Oh, and speaking of overrated... here's the new album from the Black Keys, titled No Rain, No Flowers. Guys, I'll be honest here, I don't like the Black Keys. I mean, to begin with, they were basically just a rip-off of the White Stripes. And then over time, they just kept releasing the same car commercial arse music again and again and again on album after album. They've been doing the same thing for decades, and honestly, it's really got old for me. But if I can praise the Black Keys for a moment, they actually did something different on this one. This album is not painfully generic. Instead, it's painfully boring. Look, I may have a bit of a bias against the Black Keys because the radio stations I used to listen to, specifically stuff like Radio X and Absolute Radio, they would play this band constantly and it would get old really quickly. Same thing with like The Vaccines, and Catfish and the Bottlemen, and Blossoms. But on this album right here, they tried going in a more mellow, more atmospheric direction, and it's so fucking dull. It's funny, because I've always wondered why the Black Keys never changed their sound and just stuck to the same boring car commercial shit their entire career. But now that they're changing it up, it's honestly even worse. There isn't even really much to say about this album. It's just a painfully bland, inoffensive, in one ear and out the other, forgettable rock album. I mean, I'll give credit to the Black Keys. This isn't the worst album we're going to talk about in this episode. We will get to that. But still, this album just wasn't very good.
yesterday through the day till tomorrow.
Coming up next, we've got the new album from Ethel Cain titled Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. So on my music board page, I have a list of my favourite albums of the year, which I've been updating constantly throughout this year. And usually I don't do this, but the first time I heard this Ethel Cain album, I shot it up straight to #1, because I'm not even gonna front here. This thing was fucking amazing. I honestly feel a bit out of my depth here because I don't really listen to or even like that much ambient, atmospheric music. In fact, as much as I love it now and would call it one of the best albums of the decade, it took me ages to get into Preacher's Daughter, and I haven't even heard the album she released in between these two albums. But something about Preacher's Daughter just really worked for me, and it's the same thing with this album right here. It's probably the same reason why Ethel Cain has managed to have such a huge fan base while making such experimental music. And that's that everything she does just feels so human. That may not be the right word, but let me try and explain what I mean. These songs, and the songs on her other albums as well, they feel so personal. They feel like they're telling stories that actually happened. I mean, I don't usually go and look up the lore behind albums that I'm reviewing. She could have pulled a fucking Finn McKenty and I would have not noticed, because everything here just sounds so realistic. And while Preacher's Daughter was very haunting, this album musically honestly feels a lot brighter. At least sonically, this album shows Ethel Cain evolving her sound quite a lot, and I really enjoy it. I honestly don't know if I prefer this album or Preacher's Daughter. I'll have to figure that out. And again, I still haven't heard that album that she released in between, Perverts. Please let me know if that album's worth listening to. I'll happily give it a shot. Yeah, I'm torn between this and the new JVB as to what is the best album of this week, but this album is just phenomenal. Oh, and speaking of which...
shit 2 times like a Twix. I got checks, got bands, I got bricks.
Coming up next, we've got the new JVB, Joey Valance and Brae album, HYPERYOUth. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely loved this thing. I've been a fan of Joey Valance and Brae ever since the Underground Sound EP, and while this band have constantly got better, I think they might have actually hit their peak now with this new album. For one thing, there's actually a lot more variety on this album than on any other JVB release. There's even some more heartfelt, emotional tracks like Party's Over and Live Right and Disco Tomorrow. But for another thing, the production on this album is just insane. People always compare this band to the Beastie Boys. In my opinion, this album is their Paul's Boutique. It's some of the most creative production in hip-hop that I have heard in ages, and that's including the new Clips album. Especially on songs like See You Dance and the Party song. Though my personal favourite just has to be WASSUP. For one thing, they get JPEG Mafia on this song, and he does his usual shtick, which is awesome. For another thing, this chorus, that chant of
What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up?
has just been in my head for so long. It is one of the greatest hooks of the year. So fucking simple and repetitive, yet in my opinion, it is so effective. They're one of the best groups currently going. I love pretty much everything they've put out, and this is probably their best so far. Go give it a listen.
We need just enough water to bathe in, just enough water to cook with. They got enough water to play in.
Next up, we've got the new Chance the Rapper album titled Starline. First up, if I can say one good thing about this album, it is certainly better than The Big Day. I'd always wondered why The Big Day was so hated, and then I actually listened to it a few years ago, and oh my god, it is one of the worst albums I think I've ever heard in any genre. So I just want to say, good job, Chance. You did a better album than last time. You improved. It's still not great, but you improved. This thing just felt a bit safe, if I'm honest. Like, if you've ever listened to a Chance the Rapper release, except for that one, you probably know what this is going to sound like. It's the same sound that he's done a billion times, just less new, less fresh, less original. There aren't really any songs that stand out as being particularly good. There aren't really any songs that stand out as being particularly bad. It's kind of just another album. Which, you know, I'll take another album over that, but still, it's a bit underwhelming. Especially seeing as The Big Day came out years ago now. It came out in 2019. And in that time, he's only really done the bare minimum of improvement. I don't know, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. I just don't really have much to say about it, and I don't really have any desire to ever listen to it again. It is what it is. It's fine.
Two scoops of root, we bust 'em. Everybody panics.
Coming up next, we've got the new Insane Clown Posse album titled The NOUGHT. First things first, I'm sorry. The Insane Clown Posse are still a thing? Is it just me, or has it felt like this band were a lot more popular like a couple years or maybe decades ago, and now they're just kind of there? I'm honestly shocked that they're still releasing music. And I think, considering the reputation that ICP have, you're probably expecting me to just absolutely shit talk this thing. But guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of actually really love the Insane Clown Posse. I don't know, call it a guilty pleasure of sorts. I'm not the biggest fan in the world, I'm not like a juggalo or whatever the name is, but I definitely have a soft spot for these guys. Like, I know they try a bit too hard to be all shocking and edgy at points, but I'm sorry, their music's fun, it doesn't take itself too seriously, they have a few really funny lyrics here and there, and I honestly really love what they do with lore and world building. I wish more bands did that. It's one of the main reasons why I love King Gizzard and Gorillaz. Can you imagine if Gorillaz did a collaboration with ICP? That would be fucking awesome. As for this album right here, it may not be as good as like The Great Malenko, but I honestly really enjoyed this. The song Everybody Dies especially is probably the biggest earworm that ICP have had in ages. It's repetitive as all hell, as is a lot of this album, but I don't care, it's fun. This album definitely does have a few songs that I'm not a big fan of, most notably the closer, where they for no reason interpolate Africa.
I love we love being insane, splashing in the acid rain, but naked.
I mean, I'll give it some credit here. It's only the second worst interpolation you'll hear in this video. Weird Africa parodies aside, this album was honestly a lot of fun. It might not be one of the best of the year or anything, but I honestly really enjoyed it.
Tell me, would you wait for me? Baby, I'm a rolling stone.
And finally, we've got the new MGK album titled Lost Americana. This is honestly the best MGK album that I've heard, I think. It's also one of the worst albums of the year so far. Guys, this thing was so bad, I don't even know why I chose to listen to it. This was marketed as being MGK's pop album, like he was leaving the shit tier pop punk behind and moving on to making just straight pop music. But then you actually listen to the album and that's really not what this thing is. I mean, it definitely starts off like that with the first few tracks, including the lead single and very accurately titled song Cliché. But around halfway through, he ends up giving up on that and just going back to his old I'm so tough, I'm so edgy bullshit that he's been doing this whole decade. Also, the middle part of this album has so many bad songs on it. I mean, there's literally a song on here called Sweet Coraline. While listening to this album, I was certain, like, this is it. This is the worst song on this album. But then, just when you think things cannot get any worse, we get the song Starman, which has one of the most stupidly just awful interpolations I have heard all year. And I think you can guess what song he's interpolating. That's right, Semi-Charmed Life.
I want something else to get me through this semi-charmed kind of life.
Pretty much the only positive thing I can say about this one is that MGK has done much worse. And those are my thoughts on every album that I have heard in the past 2 weeks.